It's the third week of August, and the pace has certainly changed. The calendar is filling up again, school is starting, fall commitments are showing up, and somewhere between the drop-offs, the meetings, the practices, appointments, and everything else that you're trying to keep straight and juggle, you may be thinking, I just needed a little more time to get ready, more time to get organized, more time to figure out how you're going to manage all of this. Well, friend, I know the feeling. But what if more time wouldn't actually solve the problem, because you can have another week, another month, another completely empty Saturday and still feel overwhelmed if you don't know where you're going? Sometimes the thing that you're asking time to fix is really a direction problem. And as you head into fall, that's worth paying attention to, because you may already have more of what you need than you realize. The question is whether you know what you have, where you're going, and who you need beside you to get there. Hi, friend. If we haven't met yet, I'm Christina Ryan. I'm a faith-based purpose and leadership coach, and I help you identify the lies holding you back so that you can replace them with truth and live and lead with clarity. This is week 11 of Summer on Purpose, and we're deep into our final phase, renewal. We're focusing on rest and direction and heading into fall with more clarity than we had back in May. And if you stay with me in this episode, you'll walk away with 3 leadership keys that will help you take inventory of what you already have, get clear about the direction you're heading, and recognize where you may need a little help along the way. So let's start where every good recipe starts, with what you already have. Our first leadership key is to take inventory before you add more. Have you ever gone to make a recipe that you saw online and you've gotten halfway in and realized that you were missing something? More time isn't going to change the eggs that you're missing or the sugar that you don't have. You needed to know what was actually in the pantry before you turned your oven or stove on. And I think we do something similar. When life gets full, our first instinct is to often look at what we don't have. I don't have enough time. I don't have enough energy. I don't have enough help. I don't have enough information. And before long, we've convinced ourselves that we're just not ready for whatever is coming next. There's a story in Mark 6 that I always go back to. Jesus is surrounded by thousands of people who are hungry and need to be fed. The disciples see the size of the need and basically say, send them away. We don't have enough. And yet Jesus asks them a question. How many loaves do you have? Go and see. I love that. Jesus started with what was already there. When the disciples saw what wasn't enough, Jesus asked them to identify what they actually had. 5 loaves, 2 fish. That was where they started. And I think there's a leadership lesson here for all of us. When you feel overwhelmed by what's ahead, your first instinct may be to focus on what you lack. Time, energy, people, answers. But before you add something else, take inventory. What do you already know? What did this summer teach you that you don't want to forget? What has God already placed in your hands that you may have overlooked because it didn't seem like enough? Last week, we talked about what summer showed you. Those things that you named matter. Don't discount them because they feel small. And then I want you to go a layer deeper. The way that you respond is often related to something that you believe about yourself. Do you believe you need every answer before you move? Do you believe everyone else has this all figured out? Do you believe that needing something means that you're somehow less capable? Taking inventory gives you a much more honest place to lead from. And here's the shift for key one. More isn't always the answer. Awareness changes what you do with what you already have. And if you're still struggling to recognize what you naturally bring, I want to encourage you to look at the purpose factor assessment. It can help you find language for the strengths and the purpose that you bring to how you live and lead. That information is linked below, because knowing what you have is one thing, but knowing where you're going is another. And that brings us to our second leadership key. Get clear on the directions. And this is the heart of today's episode. I want to give you a question that may help you figure out whether you actually need more time. Here it is. If someone gave you 4 extra hours today, would you know exactly what to do with them? Think about it. 4 uninterrupted hours. Nobody needs anything from you. Your phone isn't ringing or buzzing. Your inbox can wait. Would you know what deserves those 4 hours? If your answer is yes, you may genuinely need more margin. There are times when the calendar is really too full. But if your answer is honestly, I'd probably spend half of those 4 hours trying to decide what I need to tackle first, then clarity may be the first problem for you to solve. Because when everything feels equally important, every decision costs you something. Do you work on this? Do you respond to that? Do you say yes? Do you say no? Do you take care of what's urgent or protect what you already decided mattered? That constant decision making, it's exhausting. And more time doesn't automatically answer those questions, but direction does. I want you to think about that recipe again. You can have every ingredient sitting on the counter, but if the directions aren't clear, you're still going to stand there wondering what comes next. Proverbs 16:9 says, "In their hearts, humans plan their course, but the Lord establishes their steps." You are allowed to plan. Plan the fall, plan your work, plan your family calendar, plan what you want the next few months to look like. And then hold those plans with open hands. Because sometimes the direction becomes clearer while you're walking. It even gives room for the path to change. Something you thought was a yes can become a no. Something you hadn't planned for gets your attention. And sometimes God redirects you in a way you couldn't have seen when you made the original plan. So here's the question I want you to sit with. Am I asking for more time to keep doing what I've been doing, or do I need to get clearer about where I'm actually going? So our shift for key 2 is that clarity gives your yes and your no somewhere to come from. I'm curious about this for you. Which one of those do you need most heading into the fall? More margin or clearer direction? Will you put margin or direction in the comments? Sometimes simply naming what you need helps you see what deserves your attention next. And once the direction becomes clear, there's one more place where capable leaders can get stuck. We try to carry the whole thing ourselves. Our leadership key number 3 is to know when you need help. Let me tell you about the last time I put a piece of furniture together. The directions were, let's say, optimistic at best. Little pictures, no words, an arrow that seemed to be pointing at absolutely nothing. And then after sitting on the floor, surrounded by screws and pieces that I was fairly certain were supposed to all fit together somehow, I did what most of us do. I found a video. A total stranger on the internet had assembled the exact same thing. You see, they'd worked through the confusing mess in front of me and figured out what went where. And they could show me what I couldn't see on my own. And it worked. But I want you to think about what we do. We'll accept help from a stranger in a video before asking an actual person in our life for help. Why? Sometimes the hardest part of asking for help isn't finding the person, it's what that seems to say about us. I should be able to handle this. Everyone else seems to manage. If I ask for help, maybe I'm not as capable as I thought. If those thoughts sound familiar, will you pay attention to it? What does it say about you, about what you believe your leadership requires from you? Because capable leadership doesn't require you to have every answer. Sometimes the clearest next step is knowing whose wisdom you need. Maybe you need someone who has done this before. Maybe you need someone who sees something you can't see because you're often too close to it. Maybe you need someone who can remind you of what matters when everything starts competing for your attention. Ecclesiastes 4:9 and 10 reminds us that 2 are better than 1, because when one falls, the other can help them up. We weren't designed to carry everything alone. And asking for help doesn't erase your capability. It gives you another resource to work with. So here's our shift for key 3. Clear leaders know when they need another perspective. So as you think about the fall, don't only ask, what do I need to do? Ask, who might I need beside me? And that question may change more than another hour on your calendar ever will. You may have started this episode thinking, I just need time before fall really gets going. And maybe you do need some margin. But before you start rearranging the calendar, come back to those 3 questions that we've talked about today. What do you already have? Where are you actually going? And who might you need beside you? Because overwhelm has a way of making everything feel urgent and unclear all at the same time. And when that happens, your brain has to keep making decisions without enough context. What's first? What's next? What matters? What can wait? Oh, that decision load adds up. Clarity lowers some of that cost. When you name what you have and you identify where you're going, the next decision has context. There are fewer possibilities competing for your attention. And this makes your starting point clearer. And once you take one aligned step, momentum can begin to replace some of that constant deciding. So here's your permission for this week. You don't have to solve your entire fall today. and you're allowed to ask for help before you reach the point where you can't carry anymore. Start with what's already in front of you. This week's Summer on Purpose challenge is to write your declaration. I want you to finish this sentence. This fall, I need blank so I can blank. Maybe you need more margin so you can be present with your family. Maybe you need clearer priorities so every opportunity doesn't become an automatic yes. Maybe you need support so you're not carrying something alone. Maybe you need courage to follow the direction that has already become clear. Name it. Then turn it into your fall declaration. This fall, I am choosing because matters. Write it somewhere you'll see it. Put it in your journal. Stick it on your bathroom mirror, or maybe even just put it beside your computer. Let it become the reminder of the direction you chose before the calendar starts choosing for you. And if you're comfortable sharing it, put your fall declaration in the comments. Someone else reading it may realize that they need the exact same thing. If this episode helped you see fall a little differently, subscribe so you don't miss the final week of Summer on Purpose. And if you know another woman who keeps saying, I just need more time, will you send this episode to her? She may not need another productivity tip. She may need permission to stop long enough to figure out where she's actually going. I also created this week's free reflection guide to help you work through the 3 keys from today, and it gives you space to write your fall declaration. You'll find the link below. As you head into this week and this fall, remember, you may already have more of what you need than you realize. Take inventory, get clear on the direction, and know who you need beside you. You don't have to have the entire fall figured out. You need enough clarity for the next faithful step. Walk in identity, live with purpose, lead with light, and remember you're not alone. And I will see you next week for our final week of Summer on Purpose.